I survived 50 years of boardrooms, backstabbing executives, and billion-dollar deals in Manhattan's most ruthless financial district. I clawed my way from a secretary's desk to senior VP of acquisitions. I negotiated mergers that made grown men sweat. I fired people who deserved it and promoted people who earned it. But nothing prepared me for the moment I watched my own daughter-in-law try to poison me at my retirement party. Let me paint you the picture. The Roosevelt Hotel. Crystal chandeliers throwing diamonds of light across 200 guests, a string quartet playing Coltrane in the corner, waiters in white gloves passing Veuve Clicquot on silver trays. My entire career, 50 years of sacrifice, late nights, missed birthdays, broken marriages, all culminating in this one perfect evening. I'm wearing Chanel, my hair is done, my nails are perfect. I look like money because I am money, or at least, I was about to be. The pension alone is 7 figures. The stock options? Let's just say my accountant wept tears of joy. And there she is. Candace. My son Marcus's wife of 3 years, 28 years old, Pilates instructor turned wellness influencer turned whatever the hell she calls herself now. Blonde highlights that cost more than my first car, lips plumped with enough filler to float a small boat. She's wearing a white Hervé Lager bandage dress to my retirement party, white, like she's the bride at someone else's wedding. She's been attached to my elbow all night like a barnacle, playing the devoted daughter-in-law, touching my arm, laughing at jokes that aren't funny. Calling me Mom in that syrupy voice that makes my molars ache. Mom, you look stunning. Mom, this party is incredible. Mom, you must be exhausted. That last one, that's when I saw it. We're standing near the bar. Marcus is across the room, schmoozing with my former colleagues, probably dropping hints about his new tech startup code for unemployed and spending his mother's money. Candace excuses herself to freshen up, and I'm alone for exactly 90 seconds. 90 seconds to breathe. But I'm watching. You don't spend 5 decades in corporate America without developing eyes in the back of your head. She returns from the powder room, but she doesn't come straight to me. She stops at the bar, picks up my champagne flute, the one with the tiny chip on the rim, the one I've been drinking from all night. I know it's mine because I always mark my glass. Lipstick on the rim. Old habit from too many office parties where you lose track. And then I see her hand. Small, quick, practiced. She reaches into that ridiculous gold clutch, the one that probably costs $3,000 and can't fit more than a credit card and some lip gloss and palms, something tiny, white, round. A pill. She drops it into my champagne. Just like that. Casual as stirring sugar into coffee, the pill fizzes for half a second, then dissolves. Disappears into the golden bubbles like it was never there. My heart stops. Candace turns, holding the glass, walking toward me with a smile that could sell toothpaste. Her eyes are bright. Too bright. There's something feverish in them, something hungry. Mom, she says, pressing the flute into my hand. You've been on your feet for hours. You deserve this. Let's toast just us. To new beginnings. Her fingers are cold against mine. I take the glass. I smile back. My face doesn't move. 50 years of poker faces in boardroom negotiations, and this is the performance of my life. To new beginnings, I echo. The quartet swells. Candace raises her own glass, a fresh one, I notice, still full, still safe. We clink. The sound is like a bell at a funeral. She watches me. Waiting. And in that moment, in that terrible crystalline moment, I understand everything. This isn't random. This isn't sudden. This is planned. My mind races. How long has she been planning this? Days? Weeks? What's in that pill? Sedative? Poison? Something to make me sick, land me in the hospital, make me look frail and incompetent right as I'm about to sign over my estate plan? I think about the paperwork Marcus has been pushing me to sign. The power of attorney documents. The trust amendments. The way Candace has suddenly been so interested in my health, my medications, my doctor's appointments. Mom, you really should update your will. You know, just in case. Mom, wouldn't it be easier if Marcus had access to your accounts? Just for emergencies. Mom, you're not getting any younger. Let us help you. Help me. Right. Help me right into an early grave. The champagne is heavy in my hand. The bubbles are slowing, going flat. Candace is still watching me, that smile frozen on her face like a mask. Behind her, I see Marcus. My son. The boy I raised alone after his father left. The boy I put through private school in Princeton. The boy who's now eyeing my bank accounts like a wolf watching a wounded deer. He's looking at us. At me. Waiting. And then I know he's in on it too. My own son. The string quartet finishes Coltrane and starts on something slower, sadder. Miles Davis, maybe. The melody wraps around my chest like a fist. I bring the glass to my lips. Candace leans in, expectant. And I pause. You know what? I say softly. I just remembered I'm allergic to sulfites. This brand always gives me a headache. Here I press the glass back into her hand. You have it. Let me grab something else. Her face goes white, then red, then white again. But Mom, this is your glass. I insist. My voice is steel wrapped in velvet. You've been working so hard tonight, darling, making sure everything is perfect. You deserve it more than I do. Our eyes lock. She knows. I know. And the entire party spins on around us, oblivious, while my daughter-in-law stands frozen with a poisoned champagne flute in her trembling hand. I smile. Drink up, sweetheart. The smell of coffee pulls me back. Not the expensive kind they served at the Roosevelt, the cheap deli coffee I used to buy every morning at 5 a.m. From the bodega on 47th and 9th. 2 sugars, light cream, $1.25 in a blue paper cup with Greek columns printed on the side. That was my breakfast for 23 years. I was 32 when Marcus's father died. Heart attack. Dropped dead in the parking lot of a Costco in Queens on a Saturday afternoon. We were supposed to go to his mother's for dinner. Instead, I was identifying his body at Elmhurst Hospital while my 6-year-old son ate chicken nuggets in the waiting room, asking when Daddy was coming back. The life insurance barely covered the funeral. So I did what you do. I got up. I went to work. I took the 6 train from Harlem to Midtown every morning in the dark, pressed between strangers who smelled like aftershave and yesterday's sweat. I worked my way up from executive assistant to analyst to associate to VP. 14-hour days. Saturdays at the office. Conference calls during Marcus's soccer games. My phone pressed to my ear while I waved from the sidelines. I packed his lunches at dawn. Turkey sandwiches cut into triangles because that's how he liked them. Apple slices with lemon juice so they wouldn't brown. A note tucked inside on a post-it. Love you, proud of you, Mom, every single day until he went to college. I never missed a parent-teacher conference. Not one. I showed up in my work clothes, blazer and heels, straight from a merger negotiation or a budget meeting, sitting in those tiny plastic chairs meant for children, listening to teachers tell me my son was bright, capable, destined for great things. And he was. God, he was. Princeton accepted him with a partial scholarship. I covered the rest. $38,000 a year. I took out loans. I cashed in bonds my mother left me. I ate ramen 3 nights a week and told Marcus everything was fine, that I wanted him to focus on his studies, that money wasn't something he needed to worry about. When he graduated, he had job offers, good ones, Goldman Sachs, McKinsey. He turned them all down, said he wanted to find himself, backpacked through Europe for 8 months on my dime, came home with a Swedish girlfriend who lasted 6 weeks and a conviction that corporate America was morally bankrupt. I bit my tongue. I smiled. I told him I supported his journey. He moved back in with me for 2 years, rent-free. I was pulling in $200,000 a year by then, living in a rent-controlled 2-bedroom on 110th Street because I was too stubborn to move and too practical to waste money on luxury when I could be saving. Saving for what? I didn't even know anymore. Retirement maybe. Security. Peace. Then he met Candace. She walked into my apartment on a Sunday afternoon in May, all white teeth and honey blonde hair and that breathless girlish voice that made every sentence sound like a question. She worked at Equinox, taught spin classes, posted videos of herself in sports bras doing squats with motivational captions like, "Your body is your temple and sweat is just fat crying." She called me Mrs. Walker, said she'd heard so much about me, complimented my home, even though it was cramped and old and the radiators clanked like ghosts in winter. "This is so cozy," she said, touching the crocheted throw my mother made, the one draped over the back of my worn sofa. So authentic. Authentic, like I was a museum exhibit. Marcus watched her like she'd invented sunlight. They got engaged 4 months later. I bought her a car. A used Honda CR-V, nothing fancy, but reliable. Safe. I wanted her to be safe. She cried when I gave her the keys, hugged me so tight I could smell her perfume, something expensive and floral that probably cost more than my monthly Metro card. "You're the mother I never had," she whispered into my shoulder. Her own mother was alive and well in Connecticut, but I didn't say that. I paid the deposit on their apartment in Williamsburg, $12,000. First month, last month, security, broker's fee. I wrote the check without blinking because Marcus said they were starting their life together and I wanted them to start strong. I wanted them to have what I never did. Stability? A foundation. Love without the weight of financial fear crushing it. I thought I was teaching them resilience, generosity, the importance of family taking care of family. What I actually taught them was that I was a bank account with a heartbeat. Standing there at my retirement party, watching Candace hold that poisoned champagne flute with shaking hands, I finally understood. I'd spent 30 years making myself useful. Making myself necessary. Making myself easy to take from. And now I was about to find out what happens when the well runs dry. If you've ever given everything to someone who later turned away, you'll understand this part. Thank you to everyone who keeps these stories alive. Every word you share, every act of kindness, helps protect those who still believe in family. But belief wasn't going to save me tonight. Only I could do that. Candace doesn't drink. She stands there, frozen, the champagne flute trembling in her manicured fingers like a bird with a broken wing. Her eyes dart left, then right, looking for someone. Looking for Marcus. I follow her gaze across the glittering crowd, past the ice sculptures and the past hors d'oeuvres, and I see him, my son. Standing near the terrace doors with his phone pressed to his ear, pretending to take a call. But he's not talking, he's watching us, watching me. When our eyes meet, he gives the smallest nod. Permission. My stomach drops like an elevator with cut cables. Candace turns back to me, and now her smile is different, tighter. There's something feral in it, something desperate. "Mom, really, I couldn't possibly." I insist. My voice doesn't shake. 50 years of boardroom bluffs and I've never been steadier. "You've worked so hard on this party, you deserve to celebrate." The lie is so smooth it could slide across ice. She tries to hand the glass back. "I'm actually doing a cleanse right now, no alcohol." "Since when?" The question comes out sharper than I intend. Her face flushes. "Since Marcus and I are trying." "To what?" I step closer. The noise of the party fades to white static. "To what, Candace?" She backs up half a step. Her heel catches on the Persian rug. The champagne sloshes dangerously close to the rim. And then I see it. Behind her, on the credenza near the flower arrangement, a second glass. Full, untouched, sitting exactly where she can reach it. A backup. The safe one. My vision tunnels. Sound warps. Someone's laughing nearby, high and bright and wrong. The string quartet is playing something upbeat now, something that doesn't match the roaring in my ears. I think back. 6 weeks ago, Marcus showing up at my apartment unannounced on a Tuesday morning. "Mom, we need to talk about your living situation." Candace beside him, nodding sympathetically, touching his arm. "This neighborhood isn't safe anymore. You're almost 70. What if you fall? What if something happens?" "I'm 68. I run 3 miles every Sunday. I can still do the Times crossword in under 20 minutes." But I said nothing. Just listened. "There's this wonderful senior community in Westchester," Candace had said, pulling out a glossy brochure like a real estate agent closing a deal. "Assisted living, chef-prepared meals, activities. You'd make friends." "I have friends." "Mom." Marcus's voice. Patient. Patronizing. The voice he uses when explaining crypto to me like I'm a child. "We're just thinking about your future. Your quality of life." Quality of life. Like I was a pet they were considering putting down. 2 weeks after that, a financial advisor I'd never met calling my office. "Miss Walker, your son asked me to reach out regarding estate planning." I hung up. Then the documents started arriving. Power of attorney forms. Trust amendments. A new will drafted by a lawyer I'd never hired. CC'd to Marcus's email. And the life insurance policy. God, the life insurance policy. I found it last month, buried in a stack of mail Candace had helpfully organized during one of their visits. $2 million. Beneficiary, Marcus Walker. My signature at the bottom. Except I'd never signed it. I held that paper in my hands for an hour, sitting at my kitchen table in the dark, staring at the forgery. The loops of the L were wrong, the slant of the W too steep. It was a good fake. But it wasn't mine. I didn't confront them. I should have. But some part of me, the part that still remembered packing lunches and paying tuition and believing in the goodness of the boy I raised, that part wanted to be wrong. I wanted to believe I was paranoid. Suspicious. That grief and loneliness were making me see conspiracies where there was only concern. But here, now, watching Candace clutch that poisoned glass while Marcus watches from across the room like a director waiting for his actress to nail her scene, I'm not wrong. My own son is trying to kill me. Or have his wife do it for him, which is somehow worse. More cowardly, more cruel. The math is simple. Brutal. I'm worth more dead than alive. The pension, the 401k, the stocks. The apartment that's rent-controlled now but will sell for $1 million to $2 million in this market. The life insurance he forged my name on. All of it waiting, just on the other side of my last breath. Candace is still stammering. Still holding that glass like it's a live grenade. Mom, I really think you should drink it. My voice cuts through her excuses like a blade through silk. You said I deserve it. You insisted. So now I'm insisting. Drink. The party swirls around us, oblivious. 200 people celebrating my 50 years of success, and none of them see that I'm standing at my own wake. Candace's hand shakes so hard the champagne spills over, running down her wrist like blood. And across the room, Marcus is moving toward us now, his face pale, his phone forgotten. Too late. Son. Too late. If you've ever trusted someone so deeply that their betrayal made you question your own worth, you're not alone. Thank you to everyone who helps me tell these stories. Your support keeps this space alive for those who still believe that truth, somehow, will always find its way. But truth wasn't coming on its own tonight. I was bringing it myself. I walk outside. No announcement, no goodbye. I just turn and move through the crowd like smoke, invisible, carrying that glass, the one meant for me. The one Candace's trembling hands couldn't lift to her own lips, and I push through the terrace doors into the November cold. The noise of the party cuts off like someone hit mute. Out here, there's only the sound of my breath. Shallow. Fast. The kind of breathing you do when you're trying not to drown. The terrace overlooks Fifth Avenue. 23 floors up. The city glitters below like broken glass, all those lives moving in their separate orbits, unaware that mine just stopped spinning. I sit on a stone bench near the railing. My legs simply give out. The Chanel suit that cost $2,000 suddenly feels like a costume, like I'm playing dress-up in someone else's life. The champagne is still in my hand. I hold it up to the light from the windows behind me. It looks normal, beautiful, even. Golden and effervescent, tiny bubbles rising like they have somewhere important to be. What did she put in here? Rohypnol? Ambien? Something stronger? Something final? My hands start shaking. Not from cold. From the understanding that's settling into my bones like frost. They wanted me gone. Not just out of their lives, out of their way. I think about Marcus as a child. The way he used to crawl into bed with me during thunderstorms, his small body pressed against mine, his whisper in the dark. I'll always take care of you, Mama. When I'm big, I'll take care of you. When did that promise curdle into this? Inside, through the glass doors, I can see them. The party continues. 200 people laughing, drinking, celebrating my career, my life, my retirement, and none of them notice I'm gone. Not one person has come looking. I watch a waiter pass by the window carrying a tray of champagne. Watch my former colleagues from the firm cluster near the bar, their mouths moving in conversation I can't hear. Watch the ice sculpture of a swan slowly melting under the heat of the lights, its neck bending, until it looks like it's bowing in defeat. And then I see Marcus. He's laughing, head thrown back, hand on some woman's shoulder, probably someone from accounting laughing like this is the best night of his life. Maybe it is. Maybe he's already counting the money. I wonder if he's practiced what he'll say at my funeral. My mother was a strong woman, independent. She wouldn't have wanted us to grieve too long. And then he'll cash the checks and move Candace into a penthouse in Tribeca and forget I ever packed those lunches, paid those bills, believed in his goodness. The thought doesn't make me angry anymore. It just makes me tired. So tired. I look down at the champagne again. at this tiny glass of poison that was supposed to be my ending. If you've ever sat in a room so quiet it started to echo your thoughts, you'll understand this silence. Thank you to those who help keep these stories alive. Your kindness helps give voice to people who've been forgotten, who sit alone in their pain, waiting to be seen again. But I'm not waiting anymore. A woman pushes through the terrace doors, wrapped in mink, her face pinched with irritation. She's talking on her phone, her voice sharp and nasal. I don't care what the DJ says, the music is too loud. My head is splitting. This whole thing is tacky. She doesn't see me, doesn't acknowledge my existence, just walks to the other side of the terrace, still complaining into her phone. I recognize her, Candace's mother, Diane, from Greenwich, the one who didn't show up for the engagement party but made it tonight because Latrice's connections might be useful. She sets her clutch down on the railing and presses her fingers to her temples, still talking. I need a drink. A real drink. Not this cheap champagne. There's a service tray near the door. Someone left it there, probably a waiter who ducked inside to grab more appetizers. Empty except for one glass. Mine. I stand. My legs work now. Funny how clarity does that. I walk over slowly, quietly, and I place the poisoned champagne on the tray right in the center, where it catches the light beautifully. Then I step back into the shadows. Diane ends her call. Huffs. Looks around. Sees the tray. Finally, she mutters. She picks up the glass. Doesn't hesitate, doesn't question. Just drinks. One long swallow. Then another. I stand very still. She makes a face. Ugh, flat. But she finishes it anyway, setting the empty flute back down before gathering her mink around her shoulders and disappearing back inside to complain about something else. The terrace is silent again. Just me, and the cold, and the city below. And for the first time all night, I smile. Not from joy, from something darker, something that's been sleeping inside me for 30 years, waiting for a reason to wake up. If there's one thing I learned in 50 years of New York business, it's this. Silence can be survival. But it can also be a weapon. The ambulance arrives 17 minutes later. I watch from the terrace as paramedics rush through the lobby, their radios crackling, their faces grim and professional. Inside, the party has fractured into chaos. Someone is screaming. Someone else is on the phone with 911, their voice high and frantic. Diane is on the floor. I slip back inside, keeping to the edges, just another guest in the confusion. I see Candace pressed against the wall, her face white as bone. Marcus stands beside her, his hand gripping her elbow so hard, his knuckles are bloodless. They're not looking at Diane. They're looking at me. Our eyes meet across the room. And they know. The hospital waiting room smells like disinfectant and bad coffee. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting everything in that particular shade of institutional despair. I sit 3 chairs away from Marcus and Candace, close enough to hear, far enough to seem uninvolved. A doctor emerges from the restricted area, clipboard in hand, her expression carefully neutral. Family of Diane Pemberton? Candace lurches to her feet. That's my mother, is she? Stable. But we're running toxicology. Her symptoms are consistent with intentional poisoning. We found traces of plant alkaloids in her system, oleander, possibly. We've contacted the police. The word police drops like a stone into still water. Marcus goes rigid. Candace's hand flies to her mouth. I don't understand, Candace stammers. How could she? Who would? That's what we're trying to determine. The doctor's gaze sweeps the waiting room, clinical and assessing. Was she drinking alcohol at the event? Champagne, I say quietly. Everyone turns. I stand, smoothing my jacket. She took a glass from the service tray. I saw her. The doctor nods, makes a note. We'll need to test any remaining glasses from the event. Of course, I say. Whatever helps. Candace is staring at me like I've grown a second head. Her mouth opens, closes, opens again. Mom, Marcus says, and his voice cracks on the word. Can we talk? Privately? We step into an empty corridor. The fluorescents here are dimmer, flickering. The walls are that pale green color that's supposed to be calming, but only makes you think of sickness. Marcus doesn't speak immediately, just stares at me with something between horror and disbelief. Candace is shaking. It was supposed to. She stops, swallows. I don't know what she drank. Don't you? My voice is soft, conversational. Mom, Please. Marcus reaches for my arm. I step back. Don't touch me. The words land like a slap. I know what you did, I say. Each word measured. Calm. The forged insurance policy. The power of attorney documents. The lawyer consultations about competency filings. I know about the Google searches, Candace. Untraceable sedatives. Plant-based toxins. You weren't even careful. Candace's knees buckle. Marcus catches her. You wanted me in a facility, I continue. Out of the way. Out of your way. So you could liquidate my assets, cash in the policies, and live off my corpse. That's not we were trying to help. Help? I laugh. It sounds like breaking glass. You were helping me into an early grave. Marcus's face crumples. For a second, I see the boy who used to cry during thunderstorms. Then the mask slips back on. You can't prove any of this. Can't I? Silence. If you've ever found truth in the quiet moments after pain, you know what this part feels like. Thank you to everyone who supports these stories. Your kindness keeps hope alive for people still finding their voice after betrayal. I pull my phone from my clutch, pull up a contact. David Rothstein. My attorney for 23 years. I hit dial. David, I say when he answers. It's time. Marcus goes pale. I smile. Time for what? Candace whispers. I don't answer. I just wait. There comes a point when silence stops, meaning defeat. It becomes preparation. I sit in my apartment on 110th Street the morning after the hospital. The sun filters through the curtains in pale stripes, illuminating dust motes that drift like evidence of time passing. My coffee has gone cold on the side table. I haven't touched it in an hour. My phone has been ringing since 6 a.m. Marcus, Candace, Marcus again. Voicemails piling up like debris after a flood. I don't answer. I just sit, hands folded in my lap, and listen to the silence between the rings. It sounds like power. By noon, I've made 4 calls. First, my bank. I need to freeze all joint accounts and remove any secondary signatories. The representative asks if everything is all right. Everything is perfect, I say. I'm finally paying attention. Second, a locksmith. He arrives within the hour, changes every lock in the apartment. I tip him $50 and watch him leave with the old keys, the ones I'd given Marcus, just in case, sealed in a plastic bag like evidence. Third, David Rothstein, my attorney. I need to update my will, immediately. And I need a provision. Any legal challenge to my competency triggers an automatic transfer of my entire estate to the ACLU and Planned Parenthood. He doesn't ask why. He's been a lawyer in New York for 40 years. He knows when a client means business. I'll have the documents ready by Friday, he says. Anything else? Yes. Set up a revocable trust. Only I can modify it, no exceptions. Consider it done. Fourth, Dr. Helena Kim, the neuropsychologist who evaluated me 2 years ago when I was negotiating my retirement package. I need to schedule a mental competency examination. Full battery. Recorded. Notarized. That's unusual, she says carefully. So is trying to have your mother declared incompetent so you can steal her money. Silence on the line. Then, I can see you tomorrow at 2. Perfect. For years, I mistook generosity for love. Now, I'm learning the quiet math of self-respect. I spend the afternoon pulling records, bank statements, phone logs, email archives. I'm methodical. 50 years in finance taught me that numbers don't lie, people do. But numbers just sit there, cold and factual, waiting to tell their story. I find 9 attempted logins to my brokerage account. All from Candace's IP address. She didn't even bother using a VPN. I find text messages Marcus thought he'd deleted recovered from a cloud backup he didn't know I had access to. Mom's resisting. We need to move faster. Maybe the facility will take her involuntarily if we get a doctor's note. I find the Google search history from Candace's laptop, the one she used on my Wi-Fi when they visited last month. Oleander poisoning symptoms, undetectable sedatives, how long until power of attorney takes effect. I screenshot everything. Send it to David. CC myself. Then I pour a fresh cup of coffee and watch the sun move across my kitchen floor. It's funny how silence can sound like thunder when guilt starts to echo. On Thursday, I call Marcus. He answers on the first ring. Mom, thank God, we've been so worried. I've been thinking about what you said, about the retirement community. Silence, then carefully, you have? Come over tomorrow, 6 o'clock, Bring Candace. Let's discuss the details. Mom, we'd love to. We really think this is the right choice for you. So do I say. And I hang up before he can hear the smile in my voice. Friday afternoon, David arrives with a briefcase full of documents, real ones, and duplicates fake papers that look official but are worthless, designed to make Marcus and Candace think they've won. You're sure about this? He asks. I've never been more sure of anything. He also brings something else, 2 small cameras, no bigger than shirt buttons. We install one above the bookshelf in the living room, one in the kitchen, angled toward the table. Audio and video, David explains. Legally permissible in New York as long as it's your residence. Good, I say. I want to remember this. They arrive at 6:15, faces bright with suppressed excitement. Candace is wearing cream expensive, tasteful, like she's already moved into my tax bracket. Marcus kisses my cheek. Mom, we're so glad you're being reasonable about this. I'm always reasonable, I say. Tea? We sit at the kitchen table. I pour Earl Grey into my mother's china cups, the ones I was saving for special occasions. This qualifies. I slide the fake documents across the table. Power of attorney, trust amendments, facility admission forms. Marcus reads them slowly, his finger tracing each line. Candace can barely contain herself. Her leg bounces under the table. Her smile is too wide. This is the right thing, Marcus says quietly. You'll be safe, taken care of. I'm sure I will, I say. I sign the papers with a flourish. Candace actually tears up. Mom. Thank you. You won't regret this. They stay for another 20 minutes, talking about logistics, move-in dates, furniture they'll help me sort through. When they finally leave, Marcus hugs me at the door. We love you, he says. I know exactly how much, I reply. That night, I sit alone and watch the camera footage on my laptop. Candace, whispering to Marcus in my kitchen after I excused myself to the bathroom. By next Friday, the house is ours. The accounts transfer Monday. We need to move her stuff to storage before she changes her mind. Marcus nodding. She's finally being smart. About time. I watch it twice. Then I forward the file to David with a subject line. Exhibit A. My phone buzzes. A text from David. Deposition scheduled for Monday. Witnesses confirmed. Bring everything. I set the phone down. For the first time, I don't need them to hear me. My silence has already spoken. They arrive at exactly 6 o'clock on Monday. I watch from my window as Marcus parallel parks his Tesla on 110th Street. Candace steps out first, checking her reflection in the side mirror, smoothing her hair. She's wearing Burberry. Head to toe, like she's already spent my money. Marcus carries a leather portfolio, probably full of more documents for me to sign, more ways to strip me of everything I built. I buzz them up. The knock is cheerful. 2 quick raps, then Marcus's voice. Mom, it's us. I open the door. Smile. Come in. They enter like they own the place, because in their minds they already do. Coffee? I offer. We're fine, Candace says, setting her purse on my mother's credenza like it's already hers. Let's just finalize everything so we can get you settled. The facility called they have a beautiful room ready, south-facing. You'll love it. I'm sure I would, I say. Marcus opens the portfolio, spreading papers across the dining table. We just need a few more signatures. The trust transfer, the bank authorizations. The doorbell rings. They both freeze. Expecting someone? Marcus asks. Yes, I say. Actually, I am. I walk to the door, my heels clicking on the hardwood each step a countdown. I open it. 2 detectives, shields clipped to their belts. One is a woman in her 40s, gray streaking her temples. The other is younger, black, with tired eyes that have seen too much. Behind them, David Rothstein, my attorney, carrying a briefcase that costs more than most people's monthly rent. Good evening, Miss Walker, the female detective says. I'm Detective Morrison. This is Detective Chen. May we come in? Of course. I step aside. Marcus is on his feet. Mom, what's going on? Sit down, Marcus, I say quietly. Something in my voice makes him obey. Candace has gone pale. She's gripping the edge of the table so hard her knuckles are white. Detective Morrison doesn't waste time. We're here regarding the incident at the Roosevelt Hotel last Friday. A toxicology report confirmed that Diane Pemberton ingested oleander, a poisonous plant alkaloid. The champagne glass she consumed tested positive. That's terrible, Marcus says. but his voice cracks. But what does that have to do with? We also obtained security footage from this residence, Detective Chen interrupts. He pulls out a tablet, sets it on the table, presses play. The screen lights up. There's Candace in my kitchen, 5 days ago, whispering to Marcus while I was in the bathroom. By next Friday, the house is ours. The accounts transfer Monday. We need to move her stuff to storage before she changes her mind. Marcus nodding. She's finally being smart. About time. The blood drains from Candace's face. That's not you can't, she turns to me. You recorded us? In your own home? My home, I say softly. My rules. New York is a one-party consent state. I didn't need your permission. David steps forward, opens his briefcase. We also have Miss Holloway's internet search history, conducted on Miss Walker's Wi-Fi network. He slides a printed document across the table. Detective Morrison reads aloud, oleander poisoning symptoms. Undetectable sedatives. How long until power of attorney takes effect? Plant-based toxins that mimic heart attacks. She looks up. Candace Holloway, you're under arrest for attempted murder. No. Candace backs away, hands up. No, this is insane. She's confused. She's old. She doesn't understand. I understand perfectly, I say. The room goes silent. I step closer. Not threatening. Just present. Solid. I understand that you married my son for access. That you saw a lonely woman with money and thought I'd be easy to dispose of. I understand that you forged my signature on a life insurance policy. That you tried to poison me at my own retirement party. My voice doesn't shake, doesn't rise. I built empires in this city. Negotiated deals with men who thought I was nothing. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Candace opens her mouth, closes it. Her eyes fill with tears, not remorse, just panic. Marcus? She turns to him. Say something. Tell them. But Marcus can't look at her. Can't look at me. He's staring at his hands like they belong to someone else. Mr. Walker, Detective Chen says, we'll need you to come to the station as well. You're being charged as an accessory. Mom. Marcus's voice breaks. Please. I didn't think she'd actually. You knew, I say. Each word lands like a gavel. You knew and you did nothing. You wanted my money more than you wanted your mother. Tears run down his face. But I feel nothing. Detective Morrison pulls out handcuffs. Candace Holloway, you have the right to remain silent. Candace screams. A raw, animal sound. She lunges toward me, but Detective Chen catches her, pulls her back. You bitch! You set me up. You poisoned your own. I didn't poison anyone, I say calmly. You did. I just made sure you drank your own medicine. The room freezes. Understanding dawns on Candace's face, then horror. The cuffs click shut around her wrists. They lead her out, still screaming. Marcus follows, head down, shoulders shaking. The door closes. Silence. David touches my shoulder gently. You all right? I nod. I'm not crying, I'm not shaking. I'm just here, still standing. Thank you, I whisper. You did this, he says. Not me, you. When they're all gone, I walk to the window. The city glitters below 8 million people living their lives, fighting their battles, surviving their betrayals. I'm one of them now. Not a victim, a survivor. After the verdict, silence became my favorite sound. It was the sound of justice finally breathing. I don't go to the trial, David handles it, sends me updates via text, clinical, factual, like stock reports. Candace pled not guilty. Bail set at $500K. Marcus cooperating with prosecution. I delete them without reading twice. I'm done carrying their story. 3 weeks later, I'm buying tomatoes at the farmer's market on 116th when I see her. Diane Pemberton. She's thinner. Older somehow, though it's only been 21 days since the hospital. She's wearing sunglasses even though it's overcast, a silk scarf wrapped around her throat like she's hiding something, maybe the truth of what her daughter tried to do. Our eyes meet across a table of heirloom vegetables. She doesn't look away, doesn't smile, just nods once, a small, tired acknowledgement of shared survival. Then she turns and disappears into the crowd. I learn later she testified against Candace. Her own daughter. Told the court everything. The whispered phone calls about my deteriorating mental state, the pressure to move faster, the casual cruelty of a woman who saw her own mother-in-law as an obstacle rather than a person. The prosecution called it devastating testimony. I call it what it is, a mother choosing truth over blood. I hear things. New York is a small town pretending to be a city. Gossip travels faster than the subway. Candace's lawyer dropped her after the security footage went public, said it was unwinnable. Now she's got a public defender who looks 16 and exhausted. Marcus lost his apartment. The lease was in my name. I'd been paying it for 3 years without telling him because I wanted him to feel independent. The eviction notice arrived the same week as his arraignment. He's living in a studio in Queens now, Washington Heights, someone told me. Above a bodega that smells like old grease and broken dreams. I feel nothing. No satisfaction. No grief. Just the quiet hum of consequences playing out like they always do, slowly, inevitably, without mercy. Candace's Instagram went dark 2 days after her arrest. 15,000 followers, all those carefully curated photos of green smoothies and sunrise yoga sessions gone. Someone archived it before she could delete everything. Now it circulates as evidence of her influencer lifestyle funded by elder exploitation. The internet is unforgiving. Her Pilates studio fired her. Sent an email blast to clients. We do not condone the alleged actions of a former instructor. Our community values integrity above all. She has to work now. Really work. I heard she's bartending somewhere in Williamsburg. Night shifts. The kind where you come home smelling like spilled beer and stranger cigarette smoke. Marcus tried to get a job in finance. His Princeton degree should have opened doors. But the arrest record closed them. The whispers followed him. That's the guy who tried to have his mother declared incompetent. The one who helped his wife with the poisoning. Even when the charges against him were reduced conspiracy to commit fraud, not attempted murder, the stain remained. He tried calling me twice. I let it go to voicemail both times. The second message was 37 seconds of silence. Then, Mom, please. I'm sorry. I need help. I deleted it. I didn't need to ruin them. Their lies had already done that. One evening in late December, I'm walking home from the Symphony Brahms, beautiful and mournful when I see him. Marcus. Standing outside a Duane Reade on Broadway, hands shoved in his pockets, shoulders hunched against the cold. He's wearing a coat I bought him 4 Christmases ago. It's too thin for the weather. He looks smaller somehow, like he's shrinking into himself. He sees me before I can cross the street. Mom. His voice cracks on the word. I stop. Don't move closer, don't move away. Mom, please. Tears are running down his face, freezing on his cheeks. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't think. I never wanted. What did you want, Marcus? The question hangs between us like fog. He opens his mouth. Closes it. He doesn't have an answer. Or maybe he does, and it's too ugly to say out loud. I helped you your whole life, I say quietly. Paid for everything. Believed in you, sacrificed for you. The only thing left now is to let you face what you created. But I'm your son. You were my son. The words are so soft they almost disappear into the city noise, car horns, distant sirens, someone laughing in a bar across the street. But he hears them. I watch something break behind his eyes. Then I turn and walk away. My heels click on the frozen pavement. One step, then another. The rhythm steady, deliberate, carrying me forward into the rest of my life. Behind me, I hear him call my name one more time. I don't turn around. Back in my apartment, I make tea. Earl Grey. No sugar. I sit by the window and watch the city glitter in the darkness. 8 million lights, 8 million stories, all of them unfolding in their own time, at their own pace. Some debts don't need to be collected. Life has its own way of balancing the books. I sip my tea. It tastes like freedom. After the noise fades, what's left isn't victory, it's understanding. Spring comes to New York like a slow exhale. The city sheds its gray winter skin, and suddenly there are tulips in window boxes, children laughing in Morningside Park, the smell of fresh bread drifting from corner bakeries. I'm 70 now. My hair is more silver than black. My hands have age spots I don't bother covering. I look like what I am, a woman who has survived. I tend my rooftop garden most mornings. Tomatoes, basil, mint, things that grow with patience and attention. I water them at dawn, before the city wakes, when the Hudson River catches the first light and turns it into something close to gold. This is where I come to think, to understand. Money doesn't corrupt people, it reveals them. I used to believe generosity was the highest form of love. That if I gave enough tuition, apartments, cars, opportunities, I could build a family that was unshakable. But I was building on sand. Because love that has to be bought isn't love. It's a transaction. And when the payments stop, so does the performance. Marcus didn't stop loving me when I cut him off. He never loved me at all. He loved what I provided. And when I became an obstacle instead of a resource, I became disposable. That knowledge still hurts. But it doesn't destroy me anymore. Justice isn't about watching them fall, it's about standing again without hate. I see my granddaughter now. Nia. 16. Marcus's daughter from his first marriage, the one that lasted 11 months, before they both realized they'd married the wrong person for the wrong reasons. Her mother brings her by every other Sunday. They live in Brooklyn, a small brownstone in Bed-Stuy. Nia wants to be an architect. She's brilliant, sharp, skeptical of the world in the way smart teenage girls often are. Last week, she asked me, "Grandma, do you hate him, my dad?" We were sitting on the rooftop, drinking lemonade, watching planes trace lines across the sky. I thought about it. Really thought. "No," I said finally. "I'm sad for him. Sad that he chose money over integrity. But hate takes too much energy. I'd rather spend it on you." She nodded. Didn't press. Then, quietly, "Thank you for teaching me that I don't have to shrink to make other people comfortable." I looked at her. This fierce, beautiful girl. This second chance. "You learned that on your own," I said. "I just reminded you. I used to believe love meant giving everything. Now I know love also means knowing when to stop. My apartment is different now, lighter somehow, though I haven't changed the furniture. I've started hosting dinners again, small ones. My neighbor Gloria from 12C. A woman named Amara I met at the farmer's market, who teaches ESL in the Bronx. David and his husband occasionally, though we mostly talk about anything except legal matters. People who see me, not what I can give them. I laugh more. Real laughter. Not the polite kind you perform at corporate dinners. I go to the Met on Wednesdays when it's quieter. I take walks through Central Park without checking my phone every 5 minutes. I'm learning what peace feels like. It's smaller than I expected. Quieter, less triumphant. But it's real. The trust fund I established now supports scholarships for young women escaping abusive families. $30,000 per year, renewable, enough to cover tuition, housing, books, enough to offer a door when all the others have closed. I named it the Robert Walker Memorial Fund, after Marcus's father, the man who died too young, who never got to see his son grow up, who might have taught him something I couldn't. I think about Robert sometimes. Wonder what he'd say about all this. Probably something simple. Something true. "You did what you had to do, Latrice. Now let it go." So I'm trying. Last month, I ran into Candace. She was coming out of a Starbucks on Amsterdam, carrying a tray of drinks, someone's assistant now maybe, or working catering. She looked tired. Older. The Burberry was gone, replaced by a North Face jacket with a coffee stain on the sleeve. Our eyes met. She froze. Face pale. Waiting for me to say something cruel maybe. Something sharp. The vindication she probably thought I'd been rehearsing. But I just nodded. Once. The way you acknowledge a stranger. Then I kept walking. I didn't need her to suffer more. Her life had already become the consequence. If you've ever lost yourself trying to love someone who only saw your worth in numbers, I hope my story reminds you, it's never too late to choose yourself. Thank you for keeping these stories alive. Stories where justice doesn't shout, it heals. Tonight, I stand on my rooftop as the sun sets over the Hudson. The sky is streaked with pink and orange, the kind of beauty that only comes after storms. I think about everything I've lost, everything I've learned. They thought taking me out would make them powerful, but the real power was never the money. It was the woman they underestimated. The woman who survived. The woman who chose peace over bitterness. The woman who stands here now, whole, watching the city she built her life in glow like forgiveness. I close the garden door behind me, turn off the lights, and walk into my home quiet, safe, mine carrying nothing but gratitude for the life I still have left to live. Justice gave me back my name. But peace gave me back myself.